Wait, there's a thing at the top that says recording and it's blinking.
Right.
Yeah,
it
it
doesn't.
didn't have the warning like it used to, or yeah.
Okay, now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third performance check. Which is a kind of post-show Q&A we do with the players. Once again, my name is Sarah. Hello. And we're just going to jump right in with some questions. And I'm going to start with a question for Alan. Alan as Derry. So, Alan, how did it feel to just be thrown right back into the action and to immediately get caught in a frog sticky net?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting the format we do this in, where the cast rotates so much, so we often have storylines that get for a character get cut off, and then other storylines that you jump into in the middle. So it's an interesting challenge as a performer to just roll with it. And luckily, I'm playing a character who would probably do that regardless. Like, whatever he's thrust into, he'd be like, "Yeah, all right, let's do it." So that helps me a lot. But yeah, it's fun because at the very least, this is we're in Candlekeep, so it's a place Derry's familiar with. So so he's able to just be like, and in addition, Gerardo was there. He was his best friend. So if Gerardo was like, "We need to go do blank," he's like, "Yep, sounds good."
The Sphinx has probably filled you in at some point in the transfer.
Yeah, we imagine so.
Or not. Or not. Yeah. And moving to our player of Lumen, Jen, lovely
Yeah.
DM. Did you expect the party to be so focused on the initial canal sequence and tracks? And did you expect to have to role play tracks? Tracks was a fan favorite, by the way.
Yeah, totally. It was. I mean, I always expect the players to focus on something unexpected. So it's always funny. We were in the middle of the canal scene, and I'm like, I haven't really thought too much through this, like compared to some of the other places that I have. But I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is good. This is great. So that was. Thankfully, actually having a loose outline for that one worked well, right? So that you guys could play around and figure out what you wanted to do, and I just went with it. I really hoped that you would figure out that there was a pet otter, and when you were in the room, and I was sort of not ambivalent, that's the wrong word, but I was open to whether the otter was there or not. Sometimes you let the roles being made reveal something, like you investigated it really well, and so you will find something that I always knew was always hidden. But I like sometimes playing with the idea that the roles create the world. And so I didn't know whether the otter was home or not, or where the otter was. I knew the otter was not in the bed. But when you guys started to figure things out, there was some really nice high rolls that were happening there. I'm like, yes, the rolls are now creating the reality that Trax is in this room.
Almost like Schrodinger's otter.
Exactly. Yeah. and so the biggest challenge would have been, Sarah, if they hadn't found the otter, could I have resisted somehow? And that was probably one of the hardest decisions I could see coming up for me in the episode. but thankfully you guys rolled well, and I'm like, yes, so the otter wasn't in their little basket, but was in the dresser drawers, and I was really excited that I got to roleplay the otter. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to roleplay cute things. And I didn't have very many notes for how to play tracks, so I just went with it. And I can't remember if there was anything else. Oh, right. I mean, I had a stat sheet for tracks. Tracks is basically a Tressin, which is a flying cat, except with swim speed instead of flight. And so I was like it was on paper that Trax could understand common but not speak it. For instance, when message was sent, that wasn't something that I just rolled with. I actually that was there, that if you found the otter, you were going to be able to speak to them if you tried to.
It's probably a good tactic with our group. If you put an animal in, like, we're probably going to try to talk to it.
Of course.
Well, I, as a player, otters are my favorite animal, and Derry also loves animals in general. So it was just like kind of two-tiered like excitement for me, where I was just like, oh my god, like not only do I as a player get to interact with an otter, but my character who also loves animals gets to, and I was very excited. And in all honesty, very sad we left him behind.
No.
But I understand the reason why. I was just
No. I'm totally with you. I was like, I would have just played with that otter the whole game. They wouldn't have taken any convincing. I would have been like, this is the most important thing in Candlekeep.
Because, you know, it, like while you were convincing him to go with you or not, I was like thinking ahead to the fact that there was a Tasha's Hideous Laughter challenge coming up, basically, and that has an intelligence requirement, and I'm like, oh gosh, Trax is going to have to like roll saving throws against, and I'm like, what? Like, this is going to be a lot. So it was...
Are you imagining an otter laughing on the floor because it got hideous? Me too.
Adorable.
Simultaneously very cute and very disturbing. Like very like knowing that it's magical means, you know, you'd be like, oh no, poor Trax, but also that's real cute.
Yeah, Paige will speak with animals forever from now on. It's never leaving.
You've learned your lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, what else happened in the game yesterday?
Well, speaking of other things that happened, and specifically to Paige, did you know you were going to become a giant toad, or do you just have like a list? And like, how do you prepare in general for becoming the various creatures you inevitably will become during the game?
Well, when I was initially choosing Paige's wild shapes, I figured because she just lives in a library, she doesn't have a ton of experience with real animals. That's why when she first became a bear, it was like a picture of a bear. It's weird. But she knows like cats and mice and stuff. And then as she sort of learns that she can wild shape more and experiences more animals, she can take on their contributions, which is why she can be a tiger and a lion because of the sphinxes. But so Toad was a new one because I mechanically learned that my wild shapes can have a swim speed now at this level. So I wanted to choose something that she could do, and she's getting more excited about doing wild shapes. So it's like, okay, well, I saw a frog once, and so how can I make that better? And I could be a giant toad instead, which was pretty fun. And I never thought we'd have a context for it because it's underwater, but I did. I've got it, the stat blocks written right here.
It was very well timed, and then you got to face off against a regular sized frog, I think.
A bullywug.
Big-ish. Yeah,
big-ish.
You would be forgiven for thinking it was a bullywug, but I actually like the Kuatoa stats better, which is a fish person. So they're medium sized.
I have a thorn that I didn't eat it. But then, like, even if just to know what that feels like, you know, and then like spit it back out and move on with my life.
I'm sure there will be another opportunity for you and your wild shape to eat something.
Yeah, I hope so. One can only hope. A druid can only dream.
And then last focused question before we kind of just open the floor would be for Gerardo, for Justin. So sometimes the magic effects that we have can really like derail a character's plans, but sometimes they are just what the character's missing, like what happened to you last night. So why did Sucker Hands fit Gerardo so well?
I think Gerardo's like, you know, he's missing his leg. He walks with a cane. Like, he misses his days of sneaking around, and all of a sudden Sucker Hands kind of gave him the freedom of movement that he's kind of been lacking for the last, like, I don't even know how many years it's been, but many years. So it was good.
You were so cute, Justin. You were like, okay, I've got second story work. I've got an extra dash. I'm getting
You didn't use all my things.
I think it was the most integrated use of a magic effect I've seen. You were just so ready for it.
Well, I mean, I was like, I looked at the time and I was like, I mean, if she's gonna squeak, it's gonna come soon. So I was like thinking about, I was like, if she does squeak, what else can I do?
Oh, so you were trying to manipulate your squeak in the same way they're trying to manipulate you.
Why not?
Clever.
I mean, I was ready to run in with Derry and attack some erasure monster, but
Oh man.
roll with the rolls.
Well, then the lights went out, and
then yeah. Could we have seen in the dark if we had dark vision? I didn't ask that ever.
It was magical darkness.
I didn't think we could, but I also was like, I never asked.
Yeah, magical darkness sucks.
It's on many levels, both meta and in game, because it's so hard to keep track of, and it's also stuff. That's why it was there.
And I mean, I said this during the game, but Smo didn't even say going dark before the lights went out, so we weren't even prepared. Like, come on.
Perform.
Standard etiquette.
Yeah, Kyler like biffed it in the seats, right? Like, not safe.
Yeah.
I have to say it was pretty gutsy of me, who is not an actual theater person, to decide that I'm going to make a theater like adventure for theater people. And I'm like Wikipediaing like theater lingo, and
I mean, I had no idea. We only met through this D&D initiative, and I just assumed you were a theater background. So you came across very well as me just assuming that you knew it all. So it worked.
Okay, but everybody say what theater you were picturing in your head.
Vertigo Mystery Theater.
Oh.
I had like a really tiny version of Stratford's festival theater, like a theater in the round.
Right.
Like a little one.
I was picturing my high school theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
now that Justin said Vertigo, I'm thinking it was Vertigo, but I was picturing the Max Bell, but small.
Oh yeah.
We're all just like, but little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the U of L theater where I went to school was what I pictured, but also smaller. Yeah.
Yeah, all the little jokes. Being on a stage.
And we had to perform.
Yes.
To perform a poem.
That's a huge rose. I love that mechanic, Jen. It was so fun.
It was super cool. I like involving the audience, like the chat viewers as well. That's a cool idea.
I was so anxious about it, and I changed that mechanic like right up until a couple hours beforehand. Like I said, I went on my walk in the snow to like, oh, it's not working. And so you guys made it work so well, and then you did the callback to it in the final scene, which I hadn't. Like maybe it looks like, oh yeah, you've got to write a poem again. I'm like, I didn't even think of that. And then you guys are like doing it again. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. You guys are awesome.
Chat loved the poems. The audience thought they were very funny. I was a little concerned about the voting, what was going to happen. Luckily, we got 3 thumbs up, and then Kevin gave us a thumbs down. But we made it through first.
What a jerk!
I also have a rose to give to Justin for writing your poetry truly as Gerardo.
I had some. I believe was.
Yeah, I wish I had some beans.
Also, something about Lumen will fix them in that stupid hole. Yeah, Lumen will take care of them in that stupid hole.
But we are releasing a poetry book with all of our poems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, look forward to that Kickstarter.
What if we just make them into songs and then we can put them on the album?
Oh, nice.
Because we were gonna have an album from the first season, so every season can have an album. I think this one, Derry, you called it Goodbye Tentacles. What we could call this album.
Yeah, what was the last one? Was something about Mind Flare.
Oh yeah, Mind Flare.
Yeah.
That was season 1.
Heavy metal band.
Yeah.
God, we have so much material. Should we do another quick round of roses and thorns, and then we'll?
Yeah. And so for people, if you're watching, you don't know what roses and thorns are. Roses would be like a favorite or memorable or fun moment, and then a thorn would be like a challenge or when something didn't quite go the way a player had hoped. There you go. Pass it off to y'all.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I really love the theater stuff. Like that was super fun. Yeah, it was great. And that was my favorite part. And the challenges with the masks that weren't speaking to us because Kyler killed them, which was that's my thorn, is Kyler killed the masks. I think every time I have a performance check with Kyler, I have a lot of problems with him. So yeah. No, the theater was great and Kyler killed it. So great. Not gonna say anymore.
I want to bounce off that and say the deletion of the game master, as it were, in this weird, like, that's what I kind of saw it as, is like, all right, you're still playing this game, now you just don't have the instruction book. And I'm like, damn it. It was like a really cool, like, for me as a big gamer who like loves stuff like that, I don't know, like all right, here's what you need to do, and it's like, all right, you're quiet now, and I'm like, no, tell me what I need to do. I love structure. But then Rose for for Trax, just in general, like everything about Trax, I love him. He's my best friend. And we will never be separated.
Good thing.
Also, rose to my dice for not rolling poorly on my animal handling during that moment, because that would have crushed my heart if Trax didn't like me.
And I think that was the role that summoned Trax into actual existence, was the animal handling, if I recall.
Yeah.
Have any thorns, Al?
I mean, aside from the muting of the game master, I think the frog, the first frog that we fought, I, for some reason in my head, got it that this would be a tough challenge, and so I was like, all right, here we go, rage, time to fight, and then like it comes and eats them, or like, likes them away, and I was just like, oh, all right, well,
that was twice. Paige took the kill twice in a moment where I was like not intending it at all. I was like, oh damn, now the fight is over.
All right. You pull out your what was it, hex or something? Blight, right? And you're just like, all right, let me use this. I've never used it before, let's try it. And it's like massive damage. Smo is dead. Like, oh, no.
I knew I gave it to the right person.
Loved it. It was great.
Oops. Jen?
So my thorn was, like, to me, like, I was so worried that you guys were just going to blow through the final fight, right? So I've created every layer, like there was layer actions, there were legendary actions that I completely forgot to use. There was I brought Flash Gardo back, I brought the clot, like I had like a lot that could happen, and the chorus and all this, so there was a lot happening. And the thing that I really regretted was the one layer action that I didn't get to use. And I thought about it. You guys are probably like, why did you talk about the light and then forget about it? Chekhov's light. And that was the ghost light. And it was the ghost light at the end of the stage. And if I had enacted that layer action, it would have become like a ghostly wraith-like thing. And you all would have had to do fear saves. And it would have but I was hoping to like sort of use it to frighten you to the back of the stage, kind of thing, into the wings, right? Because everything was designed to like keep you from getting to the control booth, right? And so then the time was past. Like I felt like I couldn't do it first thing because you just had the laughter, and that would have been too much. And so, but then its time was gone. But there was a ghost light there, and I really wish that I had used it. So that was my main one, and that is sort of part of the bigger thing if I had too much going on in the final battle. But and then yeah, I feel like The rose was you. I wasn't sure if you were going to get around to saving anybody. Like maybe it would have just been like we defeat Smo, or we capture her, or Flash, or something like that, or we kill him, or whatever. But you made it happen. Like you rescued her, and I felt like the claws coming in at that moment was earned. Like it wasn't just like a Deus Ex, and she made a roll to see whether she would be caught by the claws as she fell off the tower, and she was, and I felt like that was all earned. She didn't escape. You were able to help her, and so that whole just that very end there, it was so good. So proud of you.
My only thorn was not giving enough impact to the fact that Flash Gordo wasn't dead after how shocking that was last game, to be like, but I was like, wait, there's so many things happening in his, he's alive, he's trying to kill Gerardo.
Really
so much happening.
I mean, that was earned too.
Arguably you're the only one who earned that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, as a character, I didn't encounter Flash Gordo in that previous chapter, but also as a player, I didn't understand that is what had happened. I was, because it was like his echo, so I was just like, oh, maybe some weird undead, it's the ghost of Flash trying to stop you. And then it wasn't until the end when you're like, no, Flash is somewhere. You just haven't seen him yet. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that was he's actually back somewhere. So that's
Echo Knight is such a cool class. I was like, I've been reading it a lot, so yeah, I was excited to have him back, but then I felt like I should have fought him or something to show off how cool Echo Knights are.
Well, if there's one thing we've learned about Flash is that he'll just come back, even if you beat him to a chimera.
We haven't defeated him.
We should kill him again.
I think we have to. We have to try harder this time.
Yeah.
2 chimeras.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's actually a really hard thing, given our structure, is that I'm happy with where we ended that session, but I really feel like there are some loose ends, like Flash. I mean, once you defeated Smo and had her on your side, I feel at this point the battle is over. But what's going to happen next is still not resolved. There's a whole lot of really sweet RP that could happen with Flash and dealing with him, with saving Zrill and Ant from the erasure down in the pool by with the Sphinx. There's still some really cool things that could happen in Candlekeep before the big finale, which is for me 10 weeks from now or something, right? Where I feel like we'll kind of have lost these little things, these little character stuff that would be nice to do. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's such a weird format we do where you start this momentum and then you're like, okay, yep, next arc. Just getting attached to it. I can't get over the shock of Ant and Zrill being erased. That's serious business. Almost as serious as the otter.
So we did RP it, we recorded it. Maybe we will bring that out. And so just with Sarah as Zrill and Curt as Ant and myself as basically Bookmaster Soka in that scene, and how they were corrupted. Although Ant at that point was succeeding on his save, so he still had his own mind, but Zrill
Zrill was still suffering from some intelligence loss from the fog she fought. So then it was do an intelligence save. I was like, oh no.
That's how it goes.
Now she's trying to escape. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sarah, you want to take us home?
Sure. So thank you, players, and Jen for doing this little performance check. And thank you for watching. Check out all of our other videos on our YouTube channel, and to our next show, which at this point is February 15th, but whenever you're watching this is whenever the next one is. So have a good night. Onward, heroes.
Bye. Goodbye. And now we wait. Keep waving. You'd think I'd know where the button is.